Well, let's see how we can act on the rows and how we can act on the columns that already exist, or how to rename them based on what you already did. But we can do even more. We can also create new columns or transform existing columns, or based on other values, you can do some changes. So to do that, we generate the function called mutate. And for example, in this case, we are going to create a new variable that's here as dataset with a constant value. Let's say it could be a number. You can also create a new column with an expression based on an existing column. That would be another example. It's in the theoretical presentation. I created a new column that's called yield kilograms, and this is the product of the yield in tons. You can also create a new variable based on a summary of an existing column. For example, right here, I got an average yield that contains the average of all the data. R has the capacity to do this, and this function means that one value is going to be replicated for all the different observations. And the other function here would be summarize. So if my only objective is to know the average, I don't need to replicate this in all of them, but I can just have the average with the summarize function that's here and the same value. You can also create a summary by using multiple functions. So let's say that I want to know not only the average, but also other statistical measures or descriptions or trends, variability, etc. All of that can be combined in one function. Let's say that the first argument is still the data set, but every new argument that I have here is going to have the results in a new column. So right here I have the average, my yield, and my maximum yield and minimum yield. So you can combine many different functions here. To give you an example on how to use the function group by, let's say that then the varieties, we have different observations, we have different varieties here. So what I'm going to do is to group everything by variety. So right here I am creating a new data set. You can see it here in my global environment, which is the same thing. This has the same amount of columns and rows. The only difference, if I see here, is that it contains this group set. So this means that I can run the function in each one of the groups. So it's the same thing that I had here in summarize. After it's grouped, I can see the yield in each one of the different groups. And this could be a lot more interesting. It can also be combined with other functions, like for example, mutate. So if I use mutate to see the mean or the average, but the data is already grouped, the average that I get here would be the average for every variety. It's not the general average of the set, the whole data set, but the average of every group, or the mean of every group. And finally, I can use another expression. And if part of the expression has a value, a different value, in each one of the rows, and the other one has one value per group, R understands how to do this. And as a result, I can get the difference in the yield between each observation in every row and the average yield of the group. So you can see that these functions are very practical whenever I have to do a data normalization process, Let's say that I want to compare it with the average of the group, or many other things that can be done. It becomes very easy to do these type of things with these functions. So this is a very fast explanation on how to do this. These are packages that are very complete, that have a great amount of functions and possibilities. But the objective is to introduce a main data set that can be used. I also recommend to see the documents, all of the help that you can get, and all the examples, and all the links that are in the presentation and in the material that was handed to you. And there's a broad description about everything that can be done.